Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. How is everybody doing? Russell, Juicy, hello, welcome. Um, it has been quite a day, quite a week. Um, I look forward to Saturday. Good afternoon, Hans. Hello, hello. Best advice for Vacumatic. Send it to Brian. There you go. There you go. We've had a lot of questions already in the YouTube chat regarding what an empty pellet cup looks like. So we will talk about that today. Let's see if Brian has been fed, watered, and warm. Well, so update on the heat situation. Um, we have that fixed. So we do have heat today. You notice I am no longer wearing a sweater. I did come equipped with a cashmere sweater today because I was prepared for the worst. And when we got in, it was even colder today than it was yesterday. It was 58 degrees in here, and they brought in a HVAC guy, and he looked at it, and we tried to find the furnace, and it was actually on the roof. Did my sweater and dress shoes survive the furnace troubleshooting? Yeah, so the first thing they said is well, we think that I don't actually have a basement, but I have a crawl space under the floor. And there's an access panel. And of course, I'm wearing a black cashmere sweater and dress shoes. And the first thing they asked me is, we'll send someone over. Maybe the pilot light went out. And can you just confirm? Because the landlords are actually the other two tenants in the building, right? And they bought the building earlier this year, so that, I mean, they don't know, and they hadn't had any complaints about the heat not working or whatever. And so I said, well, it's got to be in the basement. Well, the basement's a crawl space that's about waist high. Thankfully, no spiders that I saw. Spider webs, I mean, they're there. I'm sure they're there. But yeah, I'm crawling around underneath, and it's like a dirt floor, and then they've got plastic laid over the top. So I'm crawling around in dress shoes and a cashmere sweater. I mean, it was ridiculous. And there's no furnace down there to be seen. And so well, it's on the roof. It must be on the roof. Okay, great, fine. Whatever, I don't care. It's 58. I'm cold. They sent someone over, and it was a thermostat issue. Apparently that the thermostat was loose. Who figures, right? And it seems to be working fine now. Is actually a little bit toasty. I had to turn it down, so that is good. The spiders sensed it wasn't time to play with you, so they stayed away. They'll probably all come. Yeah, they'll come for you instead, right? No, they'll come out now that it's nice and toasty warm in here. I'll come in here tomorrow, and there'll be a little playground. We got our VW back today. It was in for service for a timing belt. It was $500 more than the estimate we got back in May. What are you going to do? You know? And then on the way back, we're driving back, and my vet decides it's going to throw a tantrum. And for those of you that know or that have vets, the C5 has this dreaded, and I guess most cars have something like this, you know, in the postmodern era. The dreaded active handling traction control problem, where the EBCM goes bad and you can't fix it because they don't make it anymore. Nobody makes one because the schematics were lost in a fire. It's a ridiculous story, and all the electricity to my dash went out. I'm 2 miles from the store, from the shop here, and all my gauges went to zero. All the lights went out. All the power gone. Then it came back on. Then it went out. Then it came back on. So one car out of the shop, another one in, and we'll see what happens. They couldn't get me in. First they said, well, we'll get you in November 12th. I said, well, by November 12th, I'm just going to have the car in storage for the winter, so that's not going to work. They said, well, you can just bring it in and we'll squeeze it in when we can. So that's what we're doing. Nice enough, folks. New shop for me, so we will see. We'll see how they are. So, what else is going on around here? Busy day otherwise. We got some of that stuff worked through. We're good. It's Wednesday. The very back of your 1830s house where you live in is a dirt floor crawl space. Yeah. The rest of it has concrete floor, full height basement. Yeah, my mom's house is that way too. There's a crawl space underneath, and it's dirt. And I remember when I was a kid, I don't remember what it was, but when I was young, because I was small and skinny, they sent me under there to fix something or check something. There were more spiders in her crawl space than there is down here. So, and I think this is a little bit higher. I could almost sit up down here, but yeah, I just my dream for Christmas, all I want for Christmas is a full-size basement somewhere, because I don't have one at the house. There's not one here. I just want a full-size basement, and I'm jealous, particularly of you, Hans, that are showing me your basement renovation pictures. It's going to be fabulous, whatever you do with it, I'm sure. But I just wish I had a full-size basement. Yeah, it is the best, right? Right. I mean, my new condo wouldn't be it would be so much better. It would be a world of difference better if I could actually use a portion of my basement. I mean, it's ridiculous. I have this stupid, if you haven't heard the story, we have this stupid shelf, and I think it goes over a cistern or something. I don't know why there's a cistern here. It's more than waist high, and you can't stand up on it. So I can pile maybe like 3 boxes high, and then it hits the ceiling. So I only have a very small space that I can actually stack anything. Pelican Hub shipments got lost. Yeah, well, it happened to us last year. Hopefully it was one of the reasons why there was a new Pelican distributor, because they were not helpful at all. They didn't really care. And we ended up complaining to Germany, and Germany shipped us our remaining packages. But it's funny too, because people really get bent out of shape over needing to have their free bottle of ink. I get it, I guess, but you got no control over it. How about we all go and have a good time and converse with other pen folks, and make that the real gift. And if you get a bottle of ink, or you get a goodie bag with a notepad in it, terrific. Bonus. Next up, you need more room in your wine cellar down there. You're inheriting 100 bottles of wine? Are your parents coming back and they're dropping off some wine for you? What's going on? You might need next month. Okay, so all right, well, show season's done. I might come down. I could come down and help you out. Yes. The Pelican Hub packages were shipped direct from Germany. That is correct. Yes, we received ours direct from Germany. Anyway, that's coming up on Friday. We found out yesterday that there's road construction on the street where our location is. Great. I'm looking forward to Saturday when all this crap is done. I'm going to get on the bike and I'm going to ride. I don't know how long. 3 hours, 4, 5 hours. I don't know. I'm just going to ride. Just going to ride it all. You have a neighbor who's always helping. You're always helping, can no longer drink. So he's giving me the better bottles from his cellar. Wow. I mean, you need help carrying that stuff over, don't you? Right? Yeah. Maybe I can just come down from after I hit Ohio. I can just come down and meet up with you. You always need help. I know you do. We would be dangerous. You're not. How far is it from the Ohio show for you? Well, I can't take the vet anymore because there's no way I can trust that driving the car to Ohio. There's no way. Uh-uh. Um, 8 hours. Ah, okay, yeah, that's not bad. Wow. When is your Ohio show? Ohio show. Hello, Ellen. How are you? Um, Ohio show is next week, so I leave next Thursday morning. So there will be no stream next Thursday, and next Friday will be an extra special little podcast because it'll be Lisa and Lindsay. Um, it'll be girls. Well, not night, but girls afternoon. I don't know, something. So everybody will probably love that. It'll probably be the best podcast ever. Brian's not there, yammering on. Um, they're gonna have an armored truck transfer the bottles. Well, I mean, drink one bottle, move a bottle, drink a bottle. All right. Yeah. So Ohio show coming up. Anybody in the chat going? I know Hans, you're not going. I think Indy is going. I don't think she's in the chat yet. We'll talk more about it later, I guess. We're still we're 8 days out. 8 days out. When Ryan gets back, Lisa will do a full body search to make sure you don't sneak any contraband back. There's usually a pen for me in there. See the way I see it, and she's probably listening right now. But this is the way I see it, and this is the way it works, and this is the way it needs to work, and within reason. You're not going, but you bet your friends find things you can't live without. I cost average everything. I take X amount. I buy 100 pens. So whether it's 100 pens, 102 pens, or 98 pens, the price is relatively the same. Within reason. And I'm not talking about buying something ridiculously expensive. I don't do that. I'm actually very, very good about self-control is maybe not the right word, but there's a fine line between what's okay and what's not okay. So, if it's a wholesale $35, $50 pen here and there, it's not a big deal because I certainly make up for it in the end. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more because there will be a discussion. There'll be some splaining to do. All right, let's take a look at what we got on the bench. What is on the bench today? So we're gonna finish. We're gonna hopefully get these to a better place today. Juicy asked earlier in the pre-chat, I guess, as it were. Let me get the question so I get it right here. What should an empty pellet cup look like? So before we put diaphragms in these two filling units, I've got a standard plastic unit and I've got a speed line here. We'll take a look at it. So really, I'll start with the speed line here. Let's see if we can get this to. I might need a little bit of light on that. That may make it worse. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so there. All right, so you see there's like a little bit. The bottom there is kind of a tannish, salmonish color. That's typical for like a speed line or maybe a lockdown. Okay, when you get that far, you're empty. Here is your standard later plastic filling unit. And if we zoom in on this, you can actually see there's a little, it looks like a screw thread, but it's not. It's actually a slot for the back end of the spring. So the spring rests through that slot. And you can kind of see how deep it is. So if you have a, this is the old one, but it'll work for demonstration purposes. Your oops, your pellet needs to go in that deep. So really it needs to be, now you know you need to dig. Yeah. You have to be careful, especially on this, on a speed line where you've got this, do you see this, that little salmon, almost a salmonish color on there? If you drill through that, then you're screwed. It's no good. And if you drill too far on this, then you break off the spring and you'll break, this part will just fall off. But it needs to be big enough that you can fit. That's literally how deep it needs to be. Half the, what is that? Not quite half the width of the pellet. That's about how deep it is. It's probably deeper than that. But, if you get in there with the pick, you should be able, and tap it out on a white piece of paper like I do. You'll see if you're getting any old diaphragm out of your filling unit. All right. Speaking of which, I'm just going to grab two over here. It's like I'm running low out of back diaphragms. Acquire some more. You're welcome. Cut these. Away. But first I want to clean off these pellet cups here. And then we've got we've got the two vacs. We need to get the hood off of this 51. It's been soaking overnight, so we'll see if that comes off. These are ready to complete. Oh, sorry. I had to get up early this morning to pick up the car before work. And the 21, basically, we're just gonna soak it. I don't like that. I don't think it's a good idea. If it works, no need to disassemble it. Because you risk breaking or cracking the hood. You didn't have a car ready to pick up yet. So yesterday, what the deal was is the car was ready, but they have no system in place. And I kid you not, they have no system in place to use multiple forms of payment. So I wanted to pay for a portion of it on one credit card and then pay for the rest of it on a debit. And you can't, so they give you an online portal and you can pay for it, and that's fine. So I called. I said, listen, I can't do it online. Can you take 2 credit cards? And they said, no, if you come here in person, we can do it. But if it's over the phone, I can't do it. It'll be the same thing that you see. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they open at 7, thankfully, or unfortunately, I guess, depending how you look at it. We had to be here on the east side of town by 7:45. So we left early to get there at 7, and it's a solid 25, 30 minutes depending on traffic. So we did pick it up, but it seems fine. I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it was more preventive maintenance than maintenance because of a problem. You could split payments on Cardinal Penn's website. If I can do it, why not a card? I know, right? How silly. Yeah, they were like, seriously? I can't do it over the phone? Nope. If you come in person, we can do it. And so there was an option. I could have at that point, and the problem was is I had called them like right after I got off the stream. Or I had gone to pay for it, and then I called them right away, and they said, well, there's nobody there's nobody in the shop right now to answer your call. I said, well, you got to call me back before 6 because that's when they close. And they didn't end up calling me back until closer to 5:30. And they said, well, if you come in, then we can take care of it. I said, well, it's going to take me a half an hour to get there. And then I'm going to have to a half an hour to get there, pay for it. But then I have to drive a half an hour back to get Lisa so that we can drive a half hour back to pick up the car and then drive a half hour back to get to the house. And no way, I'm not doing that. I'll sacrifice my sleep and complain. That wasn't the word I was going to use. It went along with and moan and complain about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, so that we can get there by 7. But I'm not going back and forth 2 times. Car maintenance, a pay me now or pay me later situation. Yeah. At that point, you might as well have driven here. Yeah, I know. I am gonna work hard um, to figure out how we make that happen in 2026. I don't know how it's gonna happen. No idea. It's a little too far to bike. I wouldn't be afraid of an eight hour bike ride, but it's 8 hours by car. You know, well, more than that for me. Yeah, 3 hours of driving to get your car back. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Well, if I would have known it was going to be that big of a pain in the butt, I would have taken they offered a rental car, a loaner vehicle. And had I taken that, it would have been fine. However, I guess it's good I didn't, because then I wouldn't have driven the vet, and I would have driven the vet next week and had problems on the road. So I guess I'm happy it played out the way it played out. And as it turned out, um, I have a gift card for service at the Chevy dealership, but I was planning on spending it for other maintenance other than what I took it there for. So I'm just going to be grateful that I have the gift card, and we'll go from there. Although I suppose I could look and see what other Corvettes they have on the lot. Maybe they got an end of year sale. I could trade it in. There was a pretty blue C8 there when I pulled into the into the service center. Man, it was nice. It was kind of like a super bright turquoise. I wonder how Lisa would like a two Corvette family. Not very well. It would not be a two Corvette family. It would not be a family. It would be Lisa. Be Brian sleeping in the Corvette. I would consider trading the C5 in for maybe a C6, but it's got to be the right color, because when it comes to things like that, color does matter. It got to be blue. Although I briefly considered pewter. If you've ever seen the C5 pewter color, which is really pretty outstanding. It's a kind of a pearlescent gray. Really great. There we go. Always heat it up. Always heat it up before you put that in there. It'll just make your life easier. And you reduce the chance of breakage by a lot. Now, this one doesn't matter as much because it's aluminum. The pellet cup. The hard rubber pellet cup. That's what you want to heat up. Just warm it up. No, no, he says. I offered to get her own Corvette, a manual, automatic transmission. No, I don't think she's doing more than 3 characters today. No. See if that's in there. No, I'm happy with one as long as it works. As the great Dirty Harry says, a man's got to know his limitations. Ain't that the truth? I love Dirty Harry. I am grateful I'm allowed to have one. It has been on the wish list for, or it had been on the wish list for 30 years, 35, 40, a long time. I have pictures of me as a kid on when we were on vacation and we would stop to get gas or whatever, and there would be a Corvette in the parking lot, and my dad would take a picture of me in front of it. Of course, back then it was C1s and 2s, which is just mind blowing to think about it, these days. Since I've got collector plates on my C5. All right, there we go. Well, it looks good. Let's see if we can get this 51 foot open. So it's been soaking. And you can't, it's probably hard to see, but if this is the hood on top, it has turned to the left of the nib. So it's been touched at some point, which is always a concern because you never know what they did. You know what? Let's see, is this the right kind? So there's a tool that is threaded for some, but not all aerometrics that allows you to a little bit better control. I kind of forget I have it sometimes because it doesn't work most of the time. It's not the right threading, and they don't make one that fits the other threading. If I could make tools, I would make this differently. I'd make it double-ended, and I'd make that handle longer. I do have a guy that makes tools. There we go. I do have a guy that makes tools, but yeah, perhaps with the lathe. I knew that was coming. I knew it. I knew it. I was just waiting to see who it was going to be. Yeah, the guy that makes the tools for me. The problem is there's a minimum quantity. That sometimes is ridiculous with respect to what I gotta buy. And you'll never sell them. But what I would do in my complaint, you were working, how many someone beat you to it? There's got to be like, what, 10 guys who repair 51s? There's more than that, I think. There's more than that. Yeah, but yeah, your point is valid, right? How many are going to buy this tool? And so what I would do, in my real main beef about tools like this, so there's two kinds of tools like this. There's this one, and then there's a vac wrench that fits like this, right? So that you can pull the vac unit out. They're same in appearance, but this threading is different. This threads on to the end of the aerometric part so you can grip it. But like I say, there's two different threadings. So this needs to have two sides. One for one side, one for the other. The handle needs to be removable. And my biggest beef always about these tools is the handle is always too short. It's too short because it ends up hitting right here. And it hurts like the dickens because it ends up digging into your palm. Just to give you an idea, this is the idea. And this is a vac wrench. It's a beautiful wrench. It really is. And it has a significant problem with it, though, also. It's the right idea. Double-sided, standard, oversized. This is removable. Flip it around. There you go. Handle, look at this. It's nice and flat. It comes back here. Soon we'll be able to make a fun tool. I'm counting down the days until the taps arrive. Yeah, I was looking at materials today. That you mentioned. I can't wait to see Lisa's face when a 5-foot piece of rod stock shows up at the door. The only problem with this tool is this opening here has bent. It has widened this way so that when you push down on it, it doesn't clamp down on this tight enough, and it bottoms out. So this part is okay. The handle part is not good. I need to, this is not something I could make with what we have. But the tool that we're going to make is pretty awesome. But this is what I would do. I would do this for the aerometric tool. And then you have both sizes in one tool. I mean, look how much longer that handle is. I mean, I just hurt looking at this stinking thing. So I love this tool. But the handle, I need to find somebody who can make me a handle for it locally, because I'm not shipping it out. I'll never get it back. And my tool maker could do it, I'm sure, but it's not. Yeah. I think he does make vac wrenches, but my minimum order was like 100 each. Yeah, the as far as vac wrenches go, this one is pretty nice. This one's pretty nice. All right. So this came off. That's good. Yeah, it's great for small hands or grip problems. You're correct. Yeah. 100 Vacumatic wrenches would last a lifetime. Yeah, at least. It would last my lifetime, my daughter's lifetime. She's not planning on having any kids, so I don't know. I don't know who else's lifetime it would be after she sells the company when she retires. After I'm long gone. But and even more importantly, that's also 100 oversized wrenches. I've used oversized wrench. Is it 5 times now? In how many years? Okay, that's open. That's good. Let's clean these up. I'm hoping to see Scott in Ohio. I hope he's there. I have not seen him. Oh, we got to check out the barrel. Yep. You'll be in Ohio, Greg? Great. What days are you going? All of them. Okay. Well, you'll see me Thursday afternoon then. If he's there, please send any photos of any and all tools. Yeah, I will. Yeah. He does a good job. Really good job. He's not overly tech savvy, so like sending emails is Sometimes feels like it's a stretch. Oh, come on. I'm going to disassemble this one just because I'm getting some resistance. And also with that staining on there, on the nib that didn't come off during the ultrasonic, I'm concerned that that's going to be in the feed. Antorex, hello, hello. Welcome. And this, it's stuck on here, so there we go. Yeah, it's a good thing we take that apart. Looks like it needs some help. It's a nice little hammer. I say that for Lisa's benefit. Oh, channel seems not bad. It just got a little extra miscellaneous dried up stuff in here. What I need to do is I need to start writing a list now. Measure the diameter of the white part. I want to, let me just double check. I want to say it's 3/4 of an inch. I measured it this morning, actually. Oh, there it is. Nice. Yeah, it's about 3/4 of an inch. I need to start a list of all the things that I need to do in Ohio. You're welcome. I thought the same thing this morning as I was looking at rod stock. Oh, this is a good deal, but then I find out it's like, you know, a huge, you know. So I got people to see about certain things, people to ask about questions about things. This is what I always tell everybody to do, and I almost never do it. Yeah, rod stock's pricey. I mean, I think You know, and this is, what is this? An 1.25 inches long. Get a 5-foot long rod stock. Cut it in 1.25 inch increments. It's not going to fit in my lathe. So I was wishing we could use, you have a different project in mind too for the taps, could be fun. I was wishing we could use acrylic, because then at least we could make something really fun with it. But I think it's going to be too soft. And I think we'll run the risk of breaking the threads if we use acrylic. Has to be a plastic that is dense and dimensionally stable. Peak, yeah, we're looking at Peak and Ultim for this particular yet unnamed project. That's much better. There wasn't actually anything in the channel so much as there was stuff on the back of the nib. which was going to cause problems. All right. Interestingly enough, when I was looking at Ultim this morning, I think it was Ultim, that Gravitas, technical term is schmutz, yeah. That Gravitas that I showed on Monday showed up. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, that blue one is cool, isn't it? PB, was that you that emailed me about that pen? I do have it on reserve. All right, what do we got here? Oh, yeah, I had somebody who has emailed about it. So I have offered them right of first refusal, but I don't have a price on it yet. It's literally the only one that I would keep if I was going to keep one of those pens. I had to buy it, of course, but. All right, let's see. That one, this is the one I was worried about here. You like vintage pens with lady in the name? Lady Waterman, Lady Fair, Lady Schaefer, Lady Dualfold. I think we got everything out of this one. You need a clean lady, safer cap and barrel. Maybe the best pouch ever. Oh, the 1920s. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, all right. Let's see. Do I have one of those? One never knows. I doubt it, but it's worth checking. Nope. I don't think so. Here, I was hoping to get rid of something. I've done a heck of a job this year combing through the parts bins. I'm getting down to what is truly parts. That looks better. Do I have anything else in here? Hold off on ordering rod stock. You're asking extra. Brass may be better and cheaper. Yeah. It'll be easier to get, too. I wondered about brass. It's soft enough. Brass I'd be able to get reasonably locally without having to order. Order online. All right, we're going to deal with this later. Need to get these other pens together. $19.52. The drill sounds like a teacher from Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. Long live the trombones. Marshmallow fluff. Okay, I think we've got everything disassembled and cleaned. As good as we're going to do it. Let's start assembling Vax. Well, it's got some, a little bit of transparency to it. Hard to see on the camera. AWS issue the other day affected Find a Grave. It's weird. Yeah, it turns out it's a DNS error. Always DNS, as they say. Just gotta remove some of this old shellac on here so it's not as hard to. Not as hard to thread on. Spend a couple minutes doing this, it'll just make your life easier. Remember years and years ago there was a connection issue with AOL. They kept saying it was outside their system. You finally proved it was within their system. You pinged the connection. All right, I'm just gonna heat it up now because it's not. Probably enough shellac left on there to keep that sealed. I won't trust it though. I wonder how long people will have an AOL email address. Wonder who's going to be the last one to have one. That looks good. You've had your email address for like 35 years. Yeah, I mean, once you've got it, it's hard switching to a new email address, man. Is removing the clutch from a 51 cap damage the rim? No. But you've got to remove the jewel first, of course, and the screw and the clip. And then you pull, and then you can pull it. But you got to have a puller. Do you have a puller? you don't have an inner cap puller, don't try it. You'll ruin something. And you need the Stuart Hawkinson tool, is what you need. It's the best tool. You've tried it without one. Was there video? Was there audio? Were there? I'm sure there were swear words. Even with the puller, there is a chance sometimes the bottom of the lip is slightly rolled in, and so when you go to put the clutch back in place, sometimes you kind of have to gently roll that back in, but it's usually not an issue. Why did I do it this way? This was dumb. You split the cap in half. There should have been a video. You need to remove the clutch to get the inner cap out. Yeah, so you need to remove, yeah. So in order to get the inner cap, and there's almost no reason to get the inner cap out. You must have a reason. But to get the inner cap out, you got to you start here. Take the jewel off, take the screw out, and if you don't have I have a couple tools for this. There's my inner cap arbor that holds the inner cap in place. This is the pen tooling tool, and it's got a spring-loaded pin in the middle, and then that gets the screw out. Then the clip comes off. And then you need, so Stuart Hawkinson, and Dale Beebe, I think, makes a version of it. I don't know that Stuart actually makes the tool anymore. But there is who is it? There's a UK version that you'll come across. It is not as good. There's a high probability of, I've got one over here somewhere. I don't use it, so there's a high probability, the UK version of the tool, and I forget who makes it. There's a high probability you can cross thread it and screw it up. Ask me how I know. The Stuart Hawkinson tool is beautiful. You drop the little piece of thing in there and you put it in place, and then you just unscrew it and it comes out. It's really, really, really a beautiful tool. Like I say, I think Dale Beebe makes a version of it, but I can't remember. You don't want the UK version. I know that's going to be tough for you since that's where you are. But it's night and day different. So it's a lot of work to get the inner cap out. And it's, I mean, all told in tools, it's like 350, probably 350, 400 bucks in tools. So if you don't need to, if you don't, absolutely don't have to get it out. And the only reason I can think you need to get it out is if it was cracked. Don't even bother with it. Don't mess with it. But if you're taking, I think the one you have is Stuart's. I think that is a Stuart Hawkinson tool. I would have to see it to make sure, but and if you're going that far and you're taking all that stuff out, then you might as well roll any dents out of the cap. You're already all the way there. And actually, that's not true. It's not $400 in tools. It's $400 in tools, assuming, yeah, if it ain't broke, it ain't broke. Don't take it apart. Yeah, absolutely, 110%. because I'm not actually sure you can get the inner cap puller without buying the mandrels. The mandrel and the roller for removing the dents. That's what costs you a lot. Yeah, cap dents are very common. And I have not been impressed so far with Dale's rollers. I have a set of Stuart Hawkinson rollers, and they're probably close to 20, 25 years old at least. At least I bought them used. Yeah. And stainless steel caps are much harder to roll out than gold fill. But your rollers need to be like perfectly smooth. Perfectly smooth. If they're not perfectly smooth, they're just going to roll. You know, if there's imperfections in the surface, they're just going to roll it right back into your cap. I mean, yeah, it depends, right? It is cheaper. I mean, but if it's a steel cap, yeah, absolutely. If it's a gold fill cap and you know, a rare pattern or a more uncommon pattern, yeah, well, that's when you have to learn how to take the jewels off. Now that's a Vacumatic, but it's the same process. Suck suck it up and call it character. Yeah, it's wabi sabi, right? You know, and on most 51 caps, the clip is fixed in a certain position. You can't just rotate it and rotate the dents out of the way. So, um, you just got to deal with it. But if you, like I say, if you can get the dents off or the cap jewel off, then you might as well learn dent repair, because that's the hardest part of the whole thing is getting that stinking jewel off. You thought jewels twisted off. Well, they do. They do twist off. They never twist off easily. They're usually somebody has applied some type of adhesive, um, and you have to heat them within an inch of their lives to get it to come off. And unfortunately, the amount of heat required is very close to the amount of heat required to completely melt the whole thing. And if you don't do it right, you end up twisting it off and you break the stem with the threads. And then you're left with nothing. Why didn't that? I mean, and they're plastic, so they're really fragile. That's why that's why I was not happy when this Vacumatic cap had a loose clip, because the only way to make it go away is to take the jewel off, and then you can tighten it up. But it could take me 3 weeks to get that off. Okay. Now, if you were watching yesterday, when this one came out, there was the wrong screw for the jewel, the wrong size. So somebody glued it in, and then after I soaked it, it just popped out. So I had to replace the screw with one that was sized appropriately to the jewel, and then I could just simply thread it in. Don't ever use adhesive. They'll just screw in tight. And the other part is if you're threading it in with your thumb, when it's snug and when it's flush, and look for when it's flush, don't try to continue to keep moving it, because you'll just end up twisting the top off. And then we're back to square one. Now we need a new jewel. Guess how many of those are out there? Not easy to find. That actually needs to be on my list. Where's a piece of paper? Because I know somebody who's going to have those. I saw some in Chicago, and I neglected to buy them. And then, are aluminum jewels better? Well, they only go on like first year 51s. So unless you got a first year 51, it's not appropriate for that pen. I mean, if you just want something different, I mean, they're absolutely better. I think. Yeah, that'll work. Your Vacumatics use either black or striped jewels, and your 51s use, for the most part, pearlescent jewels. These guys. And first generation 51. I'm sorry, double jewel. Yeah, not for. Did I say? I don't know if I said first year or not. But first year definitely have. First year, first year have metal jewels. But there is a mix of jewel types that can be found on first gen double jewel 51s. It is entirely possible to have a metal jewel um, on the cap, but not the barrel end, or on the barrel end, but not on the cap. Actually, I think it's more common in one place than the other, and I forget which order it is. No, if you don't care if it's original and it's the right um, stem diameter, then knock yourself out. They should definitely be easier to get. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be easier to get out. They might be. There's less chance of them, much less chance of them breaking compared to these guys or the guys in there. And I should probably try that today since it's been soaking for a couple days. You see so many 51s for sale minus a cap jewel. Yeah, they were probably harvested for another pen. All right, those are good. SD check now. Trying to keep it. Well, this feels nice. You got a 51 arrow with a left oblique, huh? That's cool. That's quite uncommon. That is quite uncommon. All right. let's see if this, how this reacts now. There we go. So we were getting one. That was what, 4? Yep. We were getting like 1 and maybe a half. Yeah, 4 and it's done. And that's what this is. Press 4 times 51. Okay. So what we're going to do is, since we're going to wait for these 2 to dry, I'm going to move on to the next batch. But I'll write myself a little note here. We need to shellac sections, put on backs, and 51. Remind myself to do that. And tomorrow we will test these out. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? That'll be a good way to end out the week. We got a nice group of pens here. Really nice. So let's look at this cap here real quick. The clip moves. It's fairly firm, but the jewel doesn't come off. And sometimes they come off easy and sometimes they don't come off. So I'm just going to tighten it up. We're going to leave it as is. So this will be a good group to finish up the week with. 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was, these are the 6 pens I bought last Friday. Yeah, that's that. Let's put those away. Let's take a look at this cap since we're talking about caps. Yeah, I soaked it for 2 days in water. So it is now soaked 2 days in naphtha. 2 days in water, heat. 2 days in naphtha, heat. I may go back to the water. And at this point, I'd be happy if, well, then no, this doesn't have a screw like a 51 does, so that doesn't. You missed the problem. Um, Flip spins. Can't have that. So this is the same problem essentially. We have to remove the jewel to solve the problem, and a whole lot of prayer. Save yourself some trouble. Put a little straw underneath it, underneath the clip. The hope is that you get water or naphtha or something down inside so that it starts to get to the adhesive. Now, if this were a 51 cap, if at least you could get the screw, the jewel out with the screw, that's a step in the right direction. You can work with that. My straw's getting bent. I can already tell it's gotten hotter than it probably should, because it has that look like it's gotten a slightly bit too hot. It's still pointy. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but I just don't, I don't like selling a pen that the cap does this to. Sometimes you can pull up on the clip to apply pressure to the jewel to get it to come out, but that's not working. So this is going to go, I'm going to soak that for another few more days. All right, let's see what's next. Probably that guy. Oh, let's do these. Let's get these out of the way. So we've got here We got a couple of third tier, lovely, really nice third tier flat tops. I've got this beautiful Parker set. I think the pencil's okay. Yeah, pencil's in working order. I'm just going to set that box off to the side. And I think I have all the parts for my VS here. That's my donor. Looks like I already cut a sack. Clutch ring, and there is a feed. This is a nice Conklin, but it needs a clip. I've got a clip. We'll deal with that another day. This is one of those infamous trays of pens that is just going to sit on the shelf. This is kind of a cool little Blender, no name. Warranted gold nib though. Nice plating on the lever and on the cap band, and the plating is worn off a little bit on the clip. Could be Lincoln, National Pen Products Company, something like that. It's possible. And this is a Jefferson. It's big, it's oversized, it's yellow. It's not warped. And it has a 14 karat number 8 nib, but look how small that is. It's really tiny. So this is why you can't go based on size when it comes to vintage pens, because number 8 does not translate like current number 6 does. There's, there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. They mean different things to different companies. But that is like maybe number 4 size for some companies. This one doesn't have a number. It's number 2 size. And that we're just going to swap nibs on, so that's almost done. but I lost this barrel. Couldn't find it. I knew I had it somewhere. Now, when you're working on pens like these, the plastic's different. You're still going to use heat to get the sections out. But you have to be careful with how much heat you use. They're not the same quality material as you're going to find on a dual fold. They do have a tendency to shrink. We may not repair this one. I'm trying to see if this is ink or this is a crack. Oh, that's ink. They weren't meant to be heirloom pens. Although oftentimes you could get them. Is it as bad as the 61 plastic? A completely different thing. I mean, at least the 61 plastic is mostly stable. These are sometimes thin, a little bit of heat, and you're done. Excuse me. You just have to be careful with heat. You can melt the 61 hood with the glance. Ooh, sorry, my day is catching up to me here. Need a notepad or something. I'll use this for now. There we go. So you run into this problem every once in a while. we'll look at that in a little bit. Let's get this. It's just this side of gooey and sticky. All right, Jefferson. Look at that. Should I add this to my original old sack collection? That's a big one. I'm actually going to look and see if it's stamped at all. Does not appear to be so. Didn't think so. But. All right, that looks good. All right, so I'm going to just soak that one. Yeah, that's really one of the prettiest plastics, isn't it? It doesn't want to open, but I think if we soak it, it will be... Yeah, if I was going to collect pens this late, other than Esterbrook, of course, this whole series is really great, especially with the color matched blind caps and all that stuff. Let's at least clean this up while we're at it. Oh, let's see what we got here. So these often use a very, very cheap and stiff J-bar. There we go. So you can see how thick this is. It's a really, really thick piece of metal. It doesn't respond well to pulling out this way. It's better to grab it from the back and pull it out, releasing tension on the bottom. It's a technique I haven't used a lot. You know, Esterbrook's they pull out. I mean, you should probably use it on every J-bar, but I haven't yet made a better tool with a better hook. But on Esterbrook's you can do it. It's not a huge deal. Normally I don't waste my time with pens like this, but this is it. Sometimes these third tier pens, they become interesting when they're in this good a condition. They become viable candidates because you never see them like this. This is just a Jefferson flat top. The green one's not even marked, so before I get too far into this, let's pop these guys in. Goes in great, it doesn't come out great. And usually they'll get caught up on this lever ring here. Let's see what we got here. This one, I think we still have some. Yeah, we still got some sack inside. But it's too narrow of a barrel for me to put my. I don't particularly care for these alligator forceps. I guess they have a place, but they don't seem to grip as well. But if I put my other hemostat in there, they're not gonna. I can't open it up. You know, others just throw them away after using them once. Yeah, I really need to get a different pair. This is just really this is not ergonomically comfortable on my fingers. What I might try is this one might not, if I'm lucky, it doesn't have as smaller size is better. Yeah. I think these, I just think that I think these are reasonably well made. They just don't fit my fingers very well. Actually, for a second there, I had to think whether or not you were referring to the alligator forceps or these third tier pens. I actually wasn't quite sure. We're getting a little bit of it there. It could be either. Pens. You were a nurse. There we go. And we see the end. So that should be, in theory, unless anything is stuck to the wall, that should be the end of that. My fingers are spared. Oh, there we go. Isn't that interesting? Time to get back to the kitchen. Yeah, have a great evening. So this is actually a very interesting pen now that we've taken it apart. And this is, get rid of this here. We'll clean this up. But this is a much more sophisticated, it's not even a J bar, it's a pressure barge, I guess technically, than what we found in this yellow Jefferson here. This is akin to Eversharp and Waterman, where this rides along rails that fit on the lever, and the pivot point is actually up here. It's at the opening end of the slot. And then what it does is then it pushes. Yeah, it's neat. And it pushes equally to compress the sack. So this is going to get a really full fill. Yeah. I'm actually a little sorry I actually pulled it out, because sometimes they're a pain to get back in. But now we can clean it off and make sure it's good to go. Because it deserves a nice nib. It's got a decent warranted nib. So I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that was, with the sticky sack, you don't want anything sticky on the bar. You don't want it to get stuck to the new sack. Much better. I actually had I had a quite decent third-tier pen collection that did not survive the great sell-off of 2008. Many of them did not. I actually had a ridiculously large wherever collection because despite all the hate they get, they actually had some cool pens. And they used some really cool materials. Yeah, this is and it's just shocking. The only clue we have is the clip, which is very reminiscent of National Pen Products Company, which is very well who it could be. Would be my first guess. And I'll show you that clip in a minute here. Must be going. See you tomorrow. Have fun. Thanks, Juicy. Good luck. I actually do see a little bit of sack down in the bottom. There appears to be some weird contraption to keep this black end piece in place. Come on. There's a little bit of sack stuck in there. Problem is, it's so far back. I can feel it under the... Oh, you know what it is? It's not a sack. Boy, isn't that interesting. There's no way I can show you this. Oh, is that weird? So there is, at the back end of this black end here, there's actually two fingers that come out of a metal piece that's looks like it's attached to this. And then there's a third piece of metal that kind of bumps out. I don't know the purpose of that. But presumably this would, if you lift up on those tabs, you can push this out. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put it upside down so it doesn't, nothing happens to it now that that's back in place. All right, so I need this nib. Because this section is cracked. Of course, now I'm debating because this barrel's not so great. Maybe I take this nib and feed, put it in this section, put it in this barrel, use that cap. Then I don't have to polish this barrel. It's not as nice. All right, and when you're swapping, this is a key point here, so pay attention. When you're swapping parts between two pens, make sure you are putting the right parts in the right pens. Do not accidentally put the parts you just took out of the broken parts back into the same part you took it out of. Because yes, it does happen, which is why I mark my pens now. To help avoid that, but I didn't mark the section, which is correct. So there we go. It's kind of tight. So I just want to clean these threads. If I'm really smart, I'm just going to take these broken parts and get rid of them. Put them back in the parts bin so they're not not near me. Before I do that, I just want to make sure this section's going to fit in this barrel. And it should. Once I clean this up. Speaking of third tier pens, anyone have a Kreutzer? Kreutzer or Kreitzler? Because if it's the latter, I once had a, believe it or not, an overlay. This is probably good enough, but I think Kreutzer was a New York company, weren't they? East Coast? Hmm. I guess it would help if I put the clutch ring on. Yep, that'll work. You would say it like cruiser? Oh, made in Germany. I wouldn't know much about German pens, other than the obvious ones. Even those. It's a little tight going once it gets down to the final threads here, so I'm going to just see if I can clean those out. Is the Cruiser a piston, I'm assuming? 50s vintage? All right, that's going to work. Since this feed was with this pen, we're going to keep that together. Theoretically should all be the same. It's also just a nicer looking. Nicer looking feed than the other one. And we pray that this section, because they're quite thin. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so this section, or this barrel, let's make sure we get the, yeah, everything on this pen was kind of a little bit nicer. Tuck that in there. And that's going to go in back in the Parker parts bin. That goes in first. Goes up and down nicely. This looks like we already cut it. The length. Yeah, that looks right. So, got a couple minutes here. I'm going to just finish this guy up. Maybe we can add this to the other tray there tomorrow. Add on first so we don't forget that. Here we go. Okay, real quick, I'm going to take this stuff out of the water. I don't want it to soak all night. Tomorrow we'll probably knock those nibs and feeds out. They should be okay. The Parker we will continue to soak. And maybe we'll get lucky and it'll open tomorrow. That blows through pretty good. What is that? But we'll knock those out tomorrow. Clean them up. Make sure they're good to go. Hopefully we get this open. Then we can resack those, and then then we'll deal with that on Monday. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll have this VS, which has been a long time running for me. And we'll get to test the Vacumatics, the 51, the Esterbrook, and that nice 21. And we'll see what else we can come up with tomorrow, because that's those are the only other extra pens I had on my desk. I've got some like roller balls and ballpoints and stuff, but that's not terribly interesting. But I guess They're all necessary to some degree. We got to clean the caps out, which I will do by Q-tip method, just because I don't want them in water soaking. But that's what we got for today, and that's what we'll do tomorrow. So there it is. It's been a long day for me, so I am going to cut out here right at 5, and Lisa will be over momentarily, and we'll get on with the rest of the evening. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take care, everyone. Good night.